Greetings, Zombie Slayers, Slippery Jim here. Welcome to some Call of Duty Zombies action here. And I'm going to be showing you guys some solo Outbreak gameplay here in Call of Duty Cold War. This is a particular zombies mode that was introduced a few weeks ago at the start of Season 2 here in Cold War Zombies. And it's actually a lot of fun. I'll be talking about this game mode a little bit more later on in this video, and also some of the other alternative types of zombies mode that Treyarch have introduced over the years, apart from the regular zombies maps that we're used to. And I'll be talking about some of those that have been unsuccessful and some that have been fairly successful, and also this Outbreak mode and what we can probably expect in the future from this mode. So we'll be getting to that. But as far as the gameplay goes, what you're watching here is some solo gameplay. This was essentially my game where I attempted to get the Dark Ops calling card, which is, I can't remember what it's called actually, but it's essentially what you have to do to get it is you have to complete 10 primary objectives in Outbreak mode and then Exfil successfully. So essentially you do that by getting to map number 10 and then exfilling successfully. So you're going to see me working towards that here. I did try to get this done casually by playing in public matches, but unfortunately all of the public games that I got into here in Outbreak, everyone seemed to want to extract at map number 4 or 5. Maybe they didn't have much time, or they thought that was a good way of farming crystals. I'm not too sure, but anyway, in the end I just gave up on the public games. I did stream a little bit of that as well over on Twitch, but I just thought I'd go in solo and just get it done this way. I'm also probably down the line going to be looking at trying to get some higher rounds in this mode. I do find it very time consuming though to get to any significantly higher round in Outbreak mode. It does get a lot quicker as you get to the higher level maps, because once you get set up, which does take a little while in the first 3 or 4 maps to get, you know, your max legendary triple pack punch set up and everything with all the perks. But once you get set up with that, you can sort of just concentrate on just doing the primary objectives every map and just rushing through them, which does speed things up a bit, but it's way slower to get to higher rounds, like, you know, round 100 or whatever would just take I think the highest round I've seen on YouTube is like 300 and something, and that took the guy 24 hours. I don't have that sort of time. So anyway, I might go for a bit of a higher round, but I don't know exactly how high that's going to look until I've taken the time to do that. Anyway, that's in the future. But for those of you that may be mystified as to what Outbreak exactly is, if you haven't played it yet or you don't have Cold War Zombies, I'll give you a bit of a rundown on it. Essentially, it is as close as we'll get at this point to an open world zombies experience, in that you have these 3 really huge maps that are basically the same maps from the Fireteam mode that we had with Dirty Bomb and all of that stuff in multiplayer here in Cold War. These maps are set in the Ural Mountains. They're called Ruka, Alpine, and Golova, which is the map we're looking at right here. And yeah, so essentially you start off in one of those 3 maps. It's random every time, and then you have your primary objective that you can complete, which is marked very clearly in your heads up display and on the map. And once you complete that primary mission successfully, you have the option to either warp to a new map, which will be one of the other maps of the 3, or you can also choose to exfil, which will, if you complete it successfully, give you some bonus crystals and stuff like that. So they've also introduced some higher tier crystals, Ethereum crystals in this mode, which are the flawless crystals, and the, what are the mid-tier ones called again? I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, yeah, basically they're used to upgrade your skills and perks and stuff from level 3, which was the max before, up to level 4 and then level 5. and they give you some extra benefits, which is pretty cool. So there you go, we got a flawless Ethereum crystal unlocked from doing that primary objective. So that objective was called the escort objective. There are other, basically 5 objectives, primary objectives that you can get randomly each time. And those are the defend objective, the escort objective we just saw, the eliminate objective, retrieve, and holdout, probably one of the tougher ones. And I find what usually happens is, say you get a holdout on your first map that you do, it will basically then follow the other objectives and then come back on the 6th map to being a holdout again. So it's kind of predictable in that way, at least in my experience so far. I have experienced a few bugs in this mode, by the way, and I know that Treyarch have worked on getting rid of some of these bugs. For instance, there was a bug where if you was in a holdout and you got downed and you had your tier 5 quick revive where you kill a zombie to get revived. And as you do that, someone's trying to revive you, you'll actually get stuck and not be able to be revived. And in my case, the game crashed when that happened. There's also another bug as well. And this has happened to me a couple of times, including in this game we're watching right now. And I'll actually show you a clip of what happened. So what can happen is you can get smashed by a mimic, these little mini bosses with the tentacles. And in this case, you'll see I got smashed into a wall. I got embedded into the wall. And you can't actually get out of this unless you're lucky enough to have Ether Shroud active, which I actually did, fortunately, and was able to warp myself out of the wall to get out of there. Otherwise, I would have had to end the game, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully they fix that one as well, because it kind of sucks when that happens. It's not such a big drama in multiplayer, but playing solo, it can end up ending the game for you. But apart from that, I haven't really seen too many other bugs. Now, getting back to the missions as well. So we're heading off to do another primary mission here on map number 7. And this one is actually the defend mission. And what happens with this one is you pick up a zombie head, you stick it in a jar, and then you got to defend the zombie head. Well, we extract some sort of information from it. You know, there is sort of a reason that we're doing some of these things, but this is basically a defend mission where you've got to hold out against zombies for a certain number of time. It's not really too difficult. Some of the side missions you can get as well. There's one where you can come across an ethereal orb, and if you shoot it, you get quite a lot of points and stuff like that. And there's another one where you have horde patrol, which is basically a squad gets wiped out and you find their bodies and you have to track down and destroy the mini boss that killed them. There's the dragon relic as well, which is kind of interesting, which is where there's like there's a dragon in a rocket ship that you have to power up and so it can blast off. I don't know why that's the thing, but it is. It's pretty bizarre, but I kind of like it. And there's also a golden chest side quest you can do where you activate the golden chest and it will spawn in a bunch of enemies, quite a few high level ones. Can be quite difficult actually, but it also gives you some rewards, stuff like free perks, weapons that level up as you get into the higher level maps, and a bunch of salvage, all of that sort of stuff. So I usually don't bother with them too much after I get set up, but they're pretty good early on for getting your setup going. So yeah, as far as how I like this mode, like Outbreak mode, usually I'm a bit dubious about some of these new zombies modes that they introduce because they've been a bit hit and miss in the past, shall we say. But I did try this one out and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed this way more than I thought I was going to, and I usually measure how good a game mode is by how much I end up playing it and how fun it is. And I actually have played a ton of this Outbreak mode, and I actually hope they continue this as well in future seasons of Call of Duty Cold War. Hopefully we get some new maps and new objectives and stuff like that. But they've done a pretty good job of this. One thing I have noticed, which is the first few maps that you go to, there are a lot of dead, super quiet moments where there's not many zombies around at all. But it's not really a game breaker though, because when you think about it, like back in the old school maps, the first few rounds in a regular zombies map were very slow, with the zombies moving at walking pace and just taking forever to break into the windows and stuff like that. So it's sort of similar to that in some ways. And if you move past those first few setup maps that you do, it's pretty intense pretty much all the time after that. So I don't have a big problem with that pacing of it. But what I would like to see is some new maps and new modes introduced as well. Maybe some new weapons specific to this mode, and potentially Easter eggs. I mean, there may be Easter eggs in this mode that we just haven't discovered yet. I'd be very surprised if there weren't any Easter eggs in this mode, but maybe they didn't spend too much time on that. I'm not really too sure, because I know some of the previous alternate game modes we've had in the past didn't actually have any Easter eggs in them, but maybe this one is a little bit different, because they put Easter eggs into, you know, Warzone and stuff, so it would surprise me if they hadn't put something in this mode. And here you can see, by the way, that I got a ray gun to drop here on map 7, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to swap out my ray key for that. You can't really go wrong with the ray gun. It pretty much destroys everything, especially when you've triple pack punched it. So I did have the max upgraded ray key, but I just feel way more comfortable getting through situations with the ray gun, so we're gonna grab that right now. And yeah, that's pretty much the main objective completed there for map number 7. And we're going to be heading to the next map shortly here, but it's also an interesting mechanic, if you like, of this game mode, that it teleports you between maps, which is really cool and innovative of Treyarch to introduce a mechanic like that. The load time is a little bit long, but I sort of understand why, because they're changing the map around and the objectives and everything, and the locations differ when you go back to these maps. But this is actually something that a lot of Zombies fans have talked about in the past with, you know, things that they could introduce in future Zombies experiences, right? So we've talked about, oh, wouldn't it be cool, for instance, if there was some Easter egg like at the end of Black Ops 3 Zombies, where you complete the Easter egg and it teleports you to one of the other maps, Zombies maps. That'd be pretty awesome if something like that happened. And we've talked about like some sort of mechanic where you can move between different standalone maps before, and this is almost that same mechanic that they've introduced here. I guess in a way that is kind of functional in this game mode, which is pretty cool. So yeah, basically I am enjoying Outbreak mode quite a lot, and I hope they do continue it, but just obviously adding to it as they go. And it would have been nice to see some unique maps for this mode rather than reusing the old Fireteam maps again, but I completely understand why they feel they've had to do it that way. You know, saving on resources and time crunch and all that stuff as far as the developers go. Anyway, we're heading off to the third map, which is Alpine here, and going to take on the objective in this one, which is the retrieve objective. So yeah, in this objective, you actually have these Aetherium canisters you have to collect. There's 2 of them you have to collect, and while you're carrying them, you move a little slower and stuff like that. And once you get into the higher levels of maps later on, you're going to have basically all the zombies being super sprinters, and you're going to have tons of the mini boss zombies that are attacking you, and dogs and all this stuff. So it gets pretty intense and dangerous in a situation where you have to move fairly slow to carry these canisters, which adds to the difficulty level. But the new special ability with the armor that you can activate, that's a pretty good one for this, or the Ether Shroud. Basically, I just used Ether Shroud. This is tier 5 Ether Shroud that I've got right now. for this whole gameplay. It was just like, it's pretty much good for anything, and you get 2 uses out of it now as well once it's upgraded, which is pretty cool. Plus, you get faster movement speed, which is nice. But actually carrying the other canister also gives you a unique specialist ability, which is like a blast type effect that kills zombies, which is pretty cool. Yeah, but looking back over the years at some of the other game modes that Treyarch have introduced as alternatives to the standard map format that we've always had in zombies, most of them have been pretty short-lived and unsuccessful. So I know back in Black Ops 2, when they introduced Transit, and that was quite a revolutionary map for some of the new ideas that they tried out in that map, but they also introduced some new standalone game modes in zombies in Black Ops 2, and one of those, for instance, was the turned game mode. And in that one, as far as I recall, you basically played in 2 teams, and you had one team where, actually I think it might have been an individual versus the rest of the players or something like that, but basically you got to play as a zombie, and the other players had to you know, avoid getting killed by that zombie, and there was certain points you got off that. They tried to introduce the multiplayer aspects or competitive aspects into the zombies experience back in Black Ops 2. So there was that turned game mode where you did get to play as a zombie. That was probably one of the least successful alternative game modes they've introduced in zombies. I didn't mind it, but I didn't play it a lot, to be honest. It was still kind of interesting, and you got to respect Treyarch for trying different things out. And then the other one that they introduced was called Grief, and a lot of you guys who've been zombie players for a while now will remember that one. And in fact, it was actually, if you look at the actual zombies community, it was actually a pretty popular game mode as far as most of the community was concerned. In fact, a lot of people in Black Ops 3 onwards wanted Treyarch to bring back Grief mode because it was pretty fun, actually, and it was a workable sort of competitive mode within zombies where you had 2 teams that could sabotage each other, and I think the last team standing, or with a player standing, won the match. So yeah, a lot of people were sorry that Treyarch discontinued that, but personally, I probably wouldn't have played too much of it unless they radically changed it compared with the regular zombies mode. So I'm not too upset that they didn't bring it back. It was kind of fun to play. I did play quite a bit of it. It was actually played within scaled down or like locked off areas of the regular maps, like town, survival and stuff like that. So yeah, Grief was much more popular than turned mode, but still discontinued essentially by Treyarch. However, when it comes to, oh, by the way, it's worth mentioning as well, there is another alternative zombies mode here in Cold War Zombies, but it's actually exclusive to PlayStation, and that is called Onslaught. Probably a lot of you guys may have seen some footage or gameplay of that if you haven't played it yourself on your PlayStation. And that, as far as I understand it, and from what I've seen, is a game mode where you play inside multiplayer maps. And yeah, it's got some of the mechanics from regular zombies within it. So yeah, that was exclusive to PlayStation, which really sucks for those that don't have a PlayStation, and I really hate that sort of console exclusive stuff. But what are you going to do? That's how it works commercially these days, I guess. So yeah, that was another mode. I don't know how popular that is, or whether it's going to be continued long term. I mean, the fact that it's exclusive to a particular console probably tells you a lot about how much we'll see of that in the future. But getting back to Outbreak mode here, this mode has actually been pretty popular as far as I can tell so far in the community, and I think it's also probably brought in a lot of new players from multiplayer to play this mode as well, because there's a lot of similar aspects to it. The missions are fairly straightforward and stuff like that as well. And actually, Triarch have talked about continuing to support this game mode and, in fact, evolving it, which we've talked about wanting them to do, as well as looking at bringing it in future Call of Duties, sort of like Warzone, I guess. Continuing that support for that in later Call of Duties as well. So it looks like they really do plan to continue supporting and including this Outbreak mode in future zombies, not just in future Cold War seasons that we get, but also in future Call of Duty. Most likely, I guess, the Treyarch ones, but we'll have to wait and see. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this Outbreak mode evolves and what we can expect from Treyarch in the future from this mode. But so far, I'm really pleased that they are going to continue with this mode, because I think it needs to be given a chance to develop, because it is really fun so far and really a good alternative to your regular zombies maps. And let's face it, they haven't really given us too many maps so far. They've only given us the 2 maps in the first 2 seasons of Cold War Zombies, so which is a lot less than we've had at the same point of the season, not the season but the game in previous Call of Duties. So yeah, you can see right now I'm doing the elimination primary quest, and essentially with this one you have one of the mini bosses that you have to take down, and you have to actually damage it down to 1/3 of its health, and then it will kind of fly away to a nearby location. You have to follow it, bring its health down again, then it flies off to the 3rd location, and that's when you can kill it for good. And yeah, so you have to be kind of careful with these guys, because they do hit pretty hard in the higher level maps. But again, not really one of the harder missions, primary missions to get done. But so far in this footage, you'll notice we haven't had a holdout yet. And when I first attempted this Dark Ops challenge to get to map number 10 and then Exfil, I was actually planning on like making sure that the first mission was a holdout, so that I would be guaranteed a holdout on map number 6, so I'd have the easiest possible time of it. But as it turned out, I actually got the holdout mission on map number 5, so I was guaranteed to get it on the final map, which is map 10. In other words, it's going to end up being the hardest possible mission, primary mission, by that stage to actually get this challenge done. But you'll see how it turns out for me anyway when we get to this next map and attempt this. So we're gonna warp through to the next map in a moment, and just gonna make sure I've got all my armor upgraded and repaired and stuff like that. And I've also got the minigun equipped as well, which is just generally good for most situations. I think there's a bug at the moment actually with the minigun where if you use part of the ammo in it, if you teleport to a new location like a holdout or a new map, it actually refills the ammo to maximum. So hopefully they fix that, because I'm sure that's a bug that shouldn't exist. But anyway, a lot of people are abusing that in this game mode. But yeah, in certain missions and situations, you can't actually use some of the particular types of streaks, like for instance the artillery strike or the cruise missile or chopper gunner. In certain situations like the holdouts, it doesn't allow you to actually use those, so you can't always use them to get out of trouble in some of those situations. So the minigun is just one of those things that's useful for most of those situations where other options might not be even available. So yeah, I like to use the stun grenades as well a fair bit. Like monkey bombs are an option, but you only get 2 monkey bombs, and there's quite a long delay with being able to chuck those out. Whereas with the stun grenades, you can actually throw those out really, really quickly, and they will allow you to get out of being completely trapped pretty easily. So I actually in lately, both in regular zombies and in outbreak mode, I've been kind of relying on the stun grenades more than the monkey bombs, with the possible exception of the Exfil. It's always good to be able to chuck out a couple of monkey bombs to Exfil. But anyway, we're going to head over now to the holdout crystal and start this mission off here. So essentially what happens with this one is once you click on the crystal and plant the charges, you'll actually be teleported to a holdout area, which is a small room that you're locked inside of. And you have to survive for a set period of time before you can get out of there. So you don't have to kill a certain number of zombies or anything like that. You just have to survive long enough to get out of the holdout room to complete the mission. So you can see here we've got like nearly 4 minutes, I guess you'd say, inside this room. And yeah, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to get set up in this room, playing solo here. I was considering trying to camp down here in this area, maybe run trains, but in the end I decided just to go up the stairs and try and camp up there. And you can see I'm using dead wire as well. This is tier 5 dead wire on the Hauer shotgun, which is pretty awesome. It's almost like having a wonder off. It's got a it's got a long cooldown on the dead wire effect triggering. I think it's 30 seconds or something like that, but it basically kills all the zombies in a horde if they get zapped with it. So that's pretty crazy. And it stuns them at the same time. So it's very, very strong. And this ray gun is just, I mean, it just dominates in this sort of situation when you're trying to camp in an area. Especially when it's Pack-a-Punch 2 tier 3. So I was like kind of worried that I was going to have zombies coming through that window to my left in that room up top there. So I was like nervously glancing to my left every now and then. But actually they didn't come through that window at all until the third wave of this holdout. And then they started spawning through there, and I nearly got into spotted difficulty, as you'll see shortly. But the early parts of this were actually way easier than I thought they would be. So yeah, just I find those hellhounds kind of annoying, because they almost always, there's about 5 or 6 of them that spawn at once, and you might be able to kill the first few, but then you have to reload, and usually 1 or 2 of them explode on top of you, which kind of sucks. The surprisingly enough, the plague hounds aren't as bad in my opinion. Although they are super annoying on Die Machine when you're trying to do high rounds, because they'll jump sideways across the map and knock you around and stuff like that. So yeah, we're heading into the final minute here, and I think some of the zombies might just be standing outside wondering where I am or something, because they don't seem to be spawning very quickly here, but in a second they start coming through that top window. Right here, I turn around and there's a bunch of zombies there smacking on my armor. Look how low my health was. I was down to 8 health. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I had Tombstone and Quick Revive and a Self Revive up my sleeve and stuff like that, so it definitely would have been the end of the world if I did go down. But, yeah. 30 seconds left. Just got this guy here to worry about a little bit, so I decided to use the other shroud. He's soaking up the damage. There's actually a couple more of those mini bosses in there, so I just head downstairs, try and wear down the clock a bit, throw out a few of the stun grenades just to make things easier on myself. And that's it, the holdout's done. So yeah, I mean, this is only map number 10, but obviously people have gone to much crazier, higher maps levels than that one. But yeah, it was good to get through all 10 maps without any downs to complete that calling card. And I will be trying to get to an actual high round at some point in the near future in this Outbreak mode. But yeah, I've been grinding out the crystals, trying to upgrade all my skills and stuff like that. I've got through most of the main ones. I've just got essentially stuff that I don't use hardly ever to upgrade, and some of the weapons tier 5 upgrades as well on stuff like launchers and whatnot. But at this point, I'm in the game we're watching. I'm just going to head down to the anomaly, and we're going to Exfil. Now, the Exfil location does seem to change in different games. So I have had it before up in that big empty field, which we were just in, where we activated the holdout mission. But so I was expecting it to actually extract me up there, but it was actually across the valley up in the forest. So you'll see I get kind of confused because I'm anticipating it to be up in that other spot, and it's completely across the other side of the map. So yeah, I have to change things up a little bit in terms of my exfil plan. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you think about Outbreak mode if you've had a chance to play it in the comments section below. And remind me if there's been an alternative zombies mode that we've had in the past that I've forgotten to mention. I don't think there have been that many, but probably ones I've mentioned are the main ones that come to mind for me anyway, at least in Black Ops 2. I know you kind of could call No Man's Land sort of an alternative zombies mode within a regular map. It's kind of a mini game within a mini game. And I know people to this day are still breaking records on No Man's Land, which has that separate leaderboard. That was such a cool idea that they introduced for that map. Those really difficult survival type challenges, they should do a lot more of those for the hardcore, high round and challenge type players, and the speedrunners and stuff like that. I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah, my car gets kind of killed, so I have to go across to a jump pad here to get across the other side of the map quick enough before the timer runs out. And this doesn't even take me that far. I have to run quite a long way to get to the exfil here, but we get there in the end. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed some zombies gameplay today, and let me know if you've got any ideas for future content on my channel. I'm starting to wrap up a couple of the series I've been doing on different games pretty soon. Both the Terraria gameplay and also the 7 Days to Die I'm not sure how much longer that one's going to take, but I think we're getting to a point now where I'm either going to get killed in that one or I'm going to be able to complete the challenge. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing in terms of series going forwards. I do have some ideas and even some footage recorded for potential series, but we'll have to wait and see. So if you guys tell me what you would like to see, I'd be really appreciative of that. But for now, let's wrap up this gameplay with the Exfil, and this is where we're going to leave this one for now. Thanks for watching. Slippery Jim out.
I got him, Requiem. We're coming home. That's how Requiem does it. Come on home.